Okay, so let's try and unpack what's been happening. It all seems to stem from that awful terror attack in Pahalgam, right?
Yeah,
April 22nd.
absolutely. A truly tragic event.
Yeah.
26 people killed, mostly tourists, it seems.
Yeah. And since then, things between India and Pakistan have, well, really escalated. We've seen a whole series of trade and diplomatic moves.
Very quickly, too. Lots of back and forth measures. Retaliation, really. It shows a severe downturn in relations.
Exactly, retaliatory steps. And the specific thing we want to dive into today is these reciprocal bans on maritime traffic, ships.
Right. The port closures by both sides.
Yeah. So we're looking at a news report that details these latest developments. And our mission here, for you listening, is to figure out the immediate impact of these bans and, place them in the wider context of what's going on.
It's a fast-moving situation. Definitely needs some clarity.
So let's start with Pakistan's move. What exactly did they announce?
Well, Pakistan, their Ministry of Maritime Affairs put out a notification. They've banned Indian-flagged ships from entering any Pakistani ports.
Any Pakistani ports. Okay. And when did this kick in?
It was immediate, took effect on Saturday, May 3rd. The report came out Sunday, but the ban started Saturday.
Wow. Okay. Immediate effect. What reason did they give? What's the justification?
Well, the notification mentioned maritime sovereignty, protecting their economic interests, and naturally, national security concerns.
Standard reasons in these situations, I suppose?
Pretty much. They framed it as a direct response to the high tensions.
Okay. And crucially, this wasn't just Pakistan acting alone, was it? The report mentions reciprocity.
That's right. The Pakistani ministry, in their statement, also confirmed that Pakistani-flagged ships are now banned from Indian ports as well.
So a clear tit-for-tat situation on the seas.
Exactly. Mirror image bans.
Now, let's just rewind a tiny bit. Pakistan's ban was Saturday, May 3rd, but India had actually made some moves the day before, on Friday, right?
Yes, that's correct. India initiated its own set of measures on Friday, May 2nd.
And what did those initial Indian actions involve?
So India actually banned the import of goods from Pakistan first. And alongside that, they also barred Pakistani vessels from entering Indian ports.
Ah, okay. So India actually moved first on the ship ban aspect.
It seems so, yes. Their ban on Pakistani ships came a day before Pakistan banned Indian ships.
Got it. But the report suggests India's actions went, well, quite a bit further than just imports and ships, didn't they?
Oh, definitely. That was just part of it. India also stopped all exchange of mail and parcels with Pakistan, both air and land routes, cut off completely.
Mail and parcels, too.
And then there was this, what the report called a first set of measures, much broader stuff.
Right, the first set of measures. Let's dig into that. What else was involved? Because that sounds
Yeah,
significant.
it really was. First off, India announced the suspension of the Indus Water Treaty.
Hold on, the Indus Water Treaty. That's huge, isn't it? That treaty's held up through a lot.
Right. Exactly. It's generally been, a point of cooperation or at least adherence, despite other problems. Suspending it signals a really deep shift. Could have massive implications, especially, for agriculture down the line.
Wow. Okay. That's
Yeah.
a major development. What else was in this first set of measures?
Well, they also scrapped all visas except for long-term ones.
Scrapped visas.
I mean,
Meaning,
Pakistani nationals, unless they hold a long-term visa, were essentially told they had to leave India. And linked to that, they ordered the Pakistan High Commission staff in Delhi to be cut by almost half.
cut by half. That's a serious diplomatic downgrade.
A very significant one, yes. Sending a very strong message.
And there was more. Feels like a long list.
There's more. India also closed the Attari-Wagah border crossing.
The mainland border crossing closed.
Yes. And recalled defense officials who were part of the Pakistan mission in India, sent them back.
Right.
And finally, the report also mentions India banning something like 16 Pakistani news YouTube channels.
Banning news channels, too. So it's trade, maritime, postal, diplomatic, border, treaty, visas, even media. Quite a sweep.
A very comprehensive and pretty assertive response from India initially.
And it's just so clear, isn't it, that all of this from both sides is flowing directly from that horrific attack in Pahalgam.
Absolutely. The timing makes it undeniable. The loss of those 26 lives, mostly tourists just visiting the area, that was the catalyst.
It really highlights how one event can just, boom, send things spiraling.
Precisely. It took an already fragile relationship and pushed it into a much more confrontational phase very, very quickly.
And adding another layer to this tense situation, There's a military development from Pakistan reported around the same time.
Yes, that's right. On Saturday, May 3rd, the same day India announced its initial package of measures.
And the day Pakistan's port ban took effect.
Correct. On that Saturday, the Pakistan Army tested a surface-to-surface ballistic missile.
Okay. What kind of missile?
It was identified as the Abdali weapon system. The report mentioned it has a range of about 450 kilometers.
450-kilometer range. And was this just a standalone test, or?
Well, Pakistan framed it as part of a military drill they were conducting called Exercise Indus.
Exercise Indus. But testing a ballistic missile right then? That timing seems, well, provocative.
It certainly didn't go unnoticed in Delhi. The report includes a pretty sharp reaction.
Yeah. What did the official in Delhi say?
They described the missile test as, and I'm quoting roughly here, a reckless act of provocation.
Reckless provocation. Strong words.
Yes, and they also called it a dangerous escalation by Pakistan in its hostile campaign against India. So, really pointed language.
Definitely reflects the mood. Okay, so let's just pause here. We've got these port bans, trade restrictions, diplomatic downgrades, the Indus Water Treaty suspension, border closure, visa cancellations, and then this missile test, all happening almost simultaneously.
It's a lot happening very fast.
So for you listening, what does this combination of actions tell us about where things stand right now and maybe where they're headed in the immediate future?
Well, it paints a pretty grim picture, doesn't it? The speed and breadth of these retaliatory actions, coupled with that kind of rhetoric, it suggests a very rapid deterioration.
And the port closures specifically, what are the immediate impacts there?
Those have real, tangible consequences right away, logistically, economically. You're talking disruption to shipping routes, supply chains. It depends, obviously, on how much trade actually goes by sea between them, but it will definitely increase costs and cause delays for whatever goods are affected. Could be raw materials, could be finished products. Certain sectors might feel it quite sharply.
So it's not just symbolic. These bans have immediate bite.
Oh, absolutely. And I think what's concerning is just how quickly we went from the tragedy in Pahalgam to these really significant state-level actions across so many different areas: diplomatic, economic, military, even treaty level.
Right. So just to sum up the core events we've discussed, Pakistan has closed its ports to Indian ships.
Yes, a direct response.
A response to India's earlier move to ban Pakistani imports and vessels.
Correct. Triggered by the post-Pahalgam tensions.
And this is all happening alongside these other major steps, like suspending the water treaty, cutting diplomatic staff, closing the border.
And that Pakistani missile test adding a military dimension right into the mix.
It really underscores the reciprocal nature of these maritime bans, both sides locking each other out. The immediate hit to shipping is clear.
Undeniable. And it could easily impact wider trade beyond just what moves on those specific flag ships, depending on how port authorities interpret and enforce things.
Which leaves us, and you, with this final thought to consider. We've seen this incredibly rapid sequence of events, very strong language, very concrete actions with real consequences. What does this imply for the longer term?
Yeah, what are the prospects now for regional stability, for economic ties not just between India and Pakistan, but potentially wider in South Asia? It feels like a significant downturn.
And maybe thinking about how a situation like this, even if it seems far away, could eventually have ripple effects that impact you, perhaps indirectly.
It's definitely a situation to watch closely. Complex, fast-moving, and unfortunately heading in a worrying direction right now.